Hello, I'm going to show you how to crochet this adorable mini Christmas jumper with its own little hanger. I'm using double knit yarn and 4mm crochet hook to make this little jumper, but you can use 4-ply yarn as well, and I'm going to change colours after 2 rows, but you can use just one colour as well if you wish. We're going to start with making a chain of 10, and once you have made your chain of 10 stitches, you're going to skip the first one and you make a single crochet into that chain, so the second chain from your hook, and we will be making 1 single crochet into each chain, so we will end up with 9 single crochet stitches at the end of this first row. And once you have made your 9 stitches, we're going to chain 1 and turn your work. That chain 1 is just to get the height for your work, and we're going to work straight into that very first stitch, and we will make single crochet stitches into every stitch of this row. So we will still have 9 stitches in total, but we're going to change the colour into red at the end of this row. We have now got to the last stitch, so we are half finishing this stitch. Pull up a loop, and instead of finishing with green, I'm now going to get red, and we are pulling through red to make a neat colour change. So you started the stitch with green and you're finishing off with the colour you're going to use next. Then chain 1 and turn your work, and we'll be making single crochet stitches into each stitch again all the way across this row. So your chain 1 never counts as a stitch, so you need to make sure that you are not skipping the very first space where you need to make your stitches. You always have 9 stitches in each row for this body part of the jumper. It's probably best to count them because there's only 9, so it's not too many to count as you work. Or you can put stitch markers into the first stitch and the last stitch to help you find where you need to go. Now when you get end of this second round of red, we are going to change color again, and because we left our green yarn here, we didn't cut it, we can just loop it up a bit and then carry on working. So you don't need to keep cutting your yarn after each color change, just loop it up at the side of your work. Once you finish, you won't be able to see these little loops. And we're going to do this now for just going across, making 2 rows of green and 2 rows of red. You can pause your video here and meet me back when you have done your 3 stripes in both colours, and I will show you how to do the neck opening to where your hanger will go. So you will have 3 stripes in green and 3 stripes in red. When you're finishing your 3rd red stripe, we're not going to change the colour here because we need to make the other side matching, so we need to start with red. Chain 1, and then we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches. Now we're going to do the neck opening, so let's chain 3, going to skip 3 stitches and then single crochet into next 3 stitches. There you go, you've done your neck opening here, and chain 1, turn your work and now we're going to do these single crochet stitches into next 3 stitches, and now we're going to work straight into this chain free space which we created and make 3 single crochet stitches into this space. So we will still have the same amount of stitches by the end of this row, and finish off with 3 single crochet stitches, and we have 9 stitches again. Now this time we are going to change the color because we got back to this side where our green strand is now, and chain 1 and turn your work, and you're doing exactly the same as what you did on the other side, so alternating the stripes and doing 3 green ones and 3 red ones. Once you have done your stripes, we can now fasten off and cut your yarn, and that is your body part of your jumper done. Now I'm going to sew in these tails just so that they won't be in the way, but you can do that at the end of a project. It's completely up to you. You can also just leave them if you're feeling lazy and just tuck them inside your work and nobody will know they're there. But I'm just going to show you now how to add the sleeves. So we're going to put our work sideways. I'm going to attach this green yarn to the 4th stitch from the middle of where your head hole space is. If you want, you can do a little knot like I just did, just to keep it still, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Just attach it the way you like, and then chain 1 and make single crochet into the same stitch, and then single crochet into next stitch, and then we'll make 4 single crochets along this end of the rows of red, and then another 2 single crochets. So they're not really stitches, they're row ends, so you have to have 8 by the end of this first row. Then chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to make 8 single crochet stitches across, so 1 into each stitch from the row below. And just like before, when we get to the end of this row, we are going to change to the other color. So I'm going to grab my red now and do the final pull through with red, and don't cut that green because we will go back to the same side to change color again at the end of doing the 2 rows with red. So let's go across now, making 8 single crochet stitches in red all the way to the end, and when we get to the end we are going to chain 1 and turn your work and go the other direction. So it's like you did the body of your little mini jumper, but we are working with 8 stitches instead of 9 across. At the end of the row, grab your green yarn or whichever color you're using, and then change again and make 2 rows with that color, so you end up with making 2 rows of each color. Now we get to the end of these sets of 2 rows, and we're going to just cut that red off because we're not using that one anymore. Chain 1, turn your work, and now we're going to do a decrease stitch. So go into next stitch and then the following one, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Let's do this again. Pull up a loop and then another one, so you've got 3 loops on your hook, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Work 2 more decrease stitches into this row. So by the end of this row you have 4 stitches instead of 8. You have made 2 into 1. Then chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch. So you only have to make 4 stitches in this row, and that will create like a little cuff for your jumper. So now you can fasten off, but leave a little bit of a tail, because you can use this tail for assembly at the end of your work. So it's just extra end that you don't need to sew in. You can just use it to sew the pieces together. We now have to repeat the same for the other side. So let's turn your work around and create the sleeve onto the opposite side as well. Now all we have left to do is assemble this little jumper together. Again, I'm going to just weave in these ends, which I won't need for the assembly, just so they will be out of the way. And once I've done that, now we have to find which side will you prefer being the right side and which one you prefer being the wrong side. So when you look at the cuff ends, I like one side of the work better than the other, but it's entirely up to you. So just choose a side which you like better, and then fold your work together so that the right side, which you want to be as a right side, is actually inside your work and the wrong side is facing you. And we're now going to get our yarn needle, and we're going to attach the two ends together. So you go in across the sleeve first, just using a whip stitch, and attaching the sleeve side together first, and then moving on to do the body side. And all you have to make sure is that you're matching the stripes to each other. Go all the way to the end and then weave in this little bit of an end, and do exactly the same on the opposite side as well. And once you've done that, all you have to do now is turn your jumper the right way around, which might be the hardest part of this whole process. I had to use my crochet hook just to get these sleeves the right way around and just shape them a little bit. And I will show you now how to make the tiny teeny hanger to go with your jumper. To make the hanger, I used a craft wire, but I have seen people using paper clips. So if you've got a paper clip and you want to shape that, there's a way to do that to make a tiny hanger perfect for this kind of project. But I just have this ordinary craft wire, which you normally would use to crochet over, so it's quite thin. So I'm going to fold it in half to give it a little bit more of strength, but you can use a different kind of wire, it just depends what you have at home. And literally all you do is just shape it to look like a hanger. I wouldn't worry if it's a little bit extra, because you can always cut it off. I made this end quite long, so let's just cut a little bit off so it's easier to shape. And once you have got to the shape which you are happy with, you can again just snip off any ends that are left, and that is as easy as that. Just use really whatever you have at home, don't need to go and buy anything especially. There are a lot of tutorials out there what show you how to make a coat hanger out of the paper clip, so I just wanted to show you something a little bit different, which I found quite easy, and I had this at home already. Now your tiny jumper is ready and you can hang it on your Christmas tree, but if you want to make it even cuter than what it already is, I added a little button. Isn't it just so cute? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video.